Hello dear learners, I am Assistant Professor Ishwari Pardeshi, and in today's video we are going to discuss on the topic grapevine communication, which is also known as the informal way of communication. So let's without wasting any time, let's begin. Grapevine communication is the unofficial or informal communication in an organization. It spreads spontaneously and often rapidly. So a grapevine communication is a communication which does not follow any structure or any proper manner. Rather, it is very spontaneous. Spontaneous as in, if you are walking by and you see someone, if you are walking and you see someone passing by, you will have a communication with them. That is grapevine. Not very structured and mannered or planned. The communication is unplanned and spontaneous. If you are sitting in a cafe or in a place where there are a lot of people around and someone just comes and says hi, and then you start having a conversation, it can be again called as grapevine communication. Why? Because it is spontaneous and it is often rapid. Why rapid? Because if you had a word with a person A, then anything that you said to A will be very instantly, very rapidly. Why? Because you are not following any structure or you are not waiting for the response, but rather the response is very rapidly getting communicated along with the replies, right? So it is very rapid. There are few features of grapevine communication. Let's move to the features. First one is informal and unofficial. As we discussed, the grapevine communication is an informal way of communication. It is unofficial. There will be no official or confidential data that will be talked about in this kind of communication. There will be no formalities done in this kind of communication. It will be very unplanned. There won't be aim as such of this communication. Many a times these communications are done on the basis of just having a conversation, right? Moving on, it does not have any structure and it is not documented. Does not have any structure as in you will not follow a proper manner of sending an email or messaging or requesting. Any sort of that thing is not done in this kind of manner. And you will not document, as in if you are sitting in a cafe and having a good gala time with your friend, you will not document all these communications. You will not make a report or you will not give a follow up to someone, right? That is not being documented, right? The communication here is very much not documented. You will not go and make a supportive of everything that you spoke about. You will not make a report of anything that you have talked about. That is why it is called as grapevine communication. Next, this kind of communication spreads quickly and sometimes it is inaccurate. Why spreads quickly? You have seen rumors, right? A person says something to B. B will go and tell it to C by adding some mirch masala, by adding some things to it. C will then add their own ideas, their own point of views, their own thoughts to it and tell it to D. D will hear all these things and again add something to it and also change something in between, alter some things that they do not like, some things that they did not feel very spicy or very, what we can say, appropriate, right? They will drop those points and add some new points, right? That is why it is inaccurate, because what A person might have said might not be same to what D has said. There will be change in the content, there will be drop of news, there will be alteration of data here, right? And it spreads quickly. Why? Because there is no structure, there is no rigidity that is being followed. There is no waiting for response, waiting for the formality to be to getting it done, right? So because of that, it is very quick and inaccurate. Then it builds relationships and trust. Why is it building relationships and trust? Because whenever you have a Grapevine communication, you do not go with a motto or a motive to get things done. You only have a word because you felt like, so that there will be a build up in the relation, right? There will be a build up of trust in the relation. There will be enhancement in the relations. You have such communications. There are nothing official remarks made in this kind of communication. You speak about your own point of views, your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own emotions. So there won't be any formality involved, and because of it is going to build and enhance relations and build the trust between the relationships, right? Next, we have types of Grapevine network. There are 4 types in here. First one is single strand chain, next is your gossip chain, followed by probability chain and cluster chain. To start with the first one, I have very in a simplified manner put down how this chain works, right? So single strand chain, here we have, in it there is a person A, person B, person C and person D. A will go and tell it to B, B will go and tell it to C, and C will do the same to the person D. So there is only one person involved each time when it is the time to propagate your message. Only A is going to tell it to B, B is going to only tell it to C. Only one person, each person is going to communicate the data to only one person. One is going to give the message to another, the another one is going to give it to only one person. Likewise, that is why it is called as the single strand. One person at a time speaks to only one person, and that one person who received the message is going to forward the message to only one person. That is why it is single strand chain. Next up we have is gossip chain. Gossip chain, here A says to B, then A will again say the same thing to C, and again A is going to share the same with D. There is only one person who is sharing all the messages to different people. If it is me who has the hot news, hot gossip, I am going go and tell it to a friend who is my best friend. Then other than that best friend, I am going to go and tell it to some other friend, then to some other friend. It is me who was the existence, who started the gossip, right? It is me who had the hot news. Then I am going to spread it to one person at a time, right? It is a single person who is going and communicating to multiple people the same news. Next we have is probability chain. Here it is very randomly done. A will tell to B randomly, then B tells to C, and C might go and tell to E. There is no fixed pattern followed here, right? For example, some person from your group received or heard someone speaking, is going to tell it to you. You are going to tell it to someone else. That someone else is going to tell that same news to someone else. There is no structure that is getting followed. There is no fixed pattern. Next we have is cluster chain. In cluster chain, a person will tell to few people, for example 2 to 3 people, then they will tell others, right? For example, in Jai Ho, we had a scene where you can see Salman Khan saying that एक को मदद करना, उन एक को बता देना कि आगे 3 लोगों की मदद करे, right? As in one person is doing it with others, going and telling it to other people, multiple peoples at a time, right? So that is what your cluster chain is. To have a look at it in a diagrammatical manner will help you understand it in a much better way. The first one here is single strand. One person is going to tell it to the other is going to tell it to one person, then again one person to one person to one person. There is no other people involved in it, only one person at a time. Second is your gossip chain. Here you can see that there is a person in the center who is telling it to B, to C, to D, E, F, G, H, I, and so on, to everyone who comes in contact to that person. That is what your gossip chain is. Followed by probability chain. Probability, here you cannot make a pattern or draw a pattern to who is communicating to whom, right? For example, here A had a communication with F and D, then the same thing F said to K and G, right? Then D also communicated to H. There is only one person here involved. Then K might go and tell it to C, I might go and tell it to E, or E might go and tell it to B and J. There is no certain pattern that is being followed here. Anybody is going and telling it to anybody, right? This is very simple. Next is your cluster. One person is telling it to 2 to 3 people. From those 2 to 3 people, again they are going and telling it to 2 to 3 people. For example, A said to B and C, B, C and D. Then D said the same thing to E, F, G. G said the same thing to H, I. Right? Understanding cluster, a ball, a group. Okay, so I hope you all have understood the grapevine or informal communication till here. Please follow all the other video series